Welcome everyone to Satisfactory. Satisfactory is a game that I have been waiting for several months to play, and finally through their alpha test weekend, I get that opportunity. This game is currently slated for early access release on March 19th, and it will only be available through the Epic Games Launcher. So if you're not familiar with that, go ahead and Google search Epic Games Launcher, and you'll see a platform similar to that of the Steam platform where this game will be released. So as of this recording, we are just over a week out from early access, and this alpha version of the game has limited gameplay in it. You're limited to the first, I believe it is 3 levels of the game, and there's going to be at least double that available when it comes to early access. Satisfactory is a game about mining resources and taking those resources from mining them out of the ground all the way through the finished products, which we're then going to ship into space. So with that in mind, we're going to, at the very beginning, have to do a lot manually. We're going to have to mine manually. We're going to have to craft manually. But the name of the game is automation, and ultimately to build a factory that will automate the entire process for us. That's the fun. If any of this sounds familiar, sounds maybe like Factorio, then yes, you are very much on the right track there, because this game shares a lot with Factorio, but of course the graphics are very different, and the gameplay elements and the look of them are very different in some aspects. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and hop into the game world and see what we've got. So we've just spawned into the game world. Right now in the alpha weekend, we're only allowed one area for a drop zone. The others are locked out, but this will give you an idea for what we need. And we're going to run around, pick up some leaves. These leaves will be used for power. We can actually turn these into biomass and make a pretty efficient power source. You notice in our right hand there, we have a zapper. This is to protect us because there are hostile animals on this world. Thankfully, that big creature is not one of them, and this flying creature also does not seem to be one of them, because I've not had them attack me yet. Now, right over here, you can just see them in the distance. Those are very hostile, and that's where we'll get into using our zapper. But for right now, we need to get started by locating some iron. Resource deposits can be found on the surface, and that's where we'll be placing our miners. You see at the top of the screen, we have our navigation letting us know the distance away that some of these iron deposits are. If we head this direction, this looks like it's the closest one. So that's about 280 meters, and it'll give us a chance as we're moving around to gather a few resources. Again, wood and leaves, any of that can be used for fuel a little bit later on. We've got these nuts that will be able to repair and restore our health, rather, once we have some tangles with some of these bad guys. I see one there in the future that we're going to get to pretty soon. We're going to stay away from what looks like a poisonous plant over there. Let's hustle in this direction. Let's go ahead and scan again. Yeah, there you go. There's something right up there. We should be good. For right now, we can only scan for iron, and the reason for that is that's what we need to get started. But later on, we'll be able to scan for copper. There's coal. There's all sorts of stuff in the game for resources. But again, we're just getting started, and we want to take a look at some of the basic gameplay to see if this is a game you might be interested in. All right, you can see there in the distance, we've got at least one bad guy up here. Okay, there he is. Let's see if we can take care of him. But then these are iron deposits that we're looking at. All right, here he comes. All right, did we get him? Yeah, we killed him. All right, we can collect his carcass. All right, so now we are here. You can hear some of the tutorial stuff in the background. She's trying to tell us what we need to do. A little bit later on in the game, you have access to do some research. But for right now, we're more interested in getting some of this iron. So here at the beginning, as I mentioned before, we're going to have to do all of this manually. But as time progresses, we will move through various stages of automation, which will obviously quicken the pace of our development. Okay, so the first thing she wants us to do right now is to place down our hub. And we're actually going to do that right over here in very close proximity to our iron deposits. Okay, let's go ahead and press the Q function for build. Let's grab the hub and let's see, how do we want to do this? Let's spin this around. And not a huge deal right now where we put this. There are certainly better places to put it, but for right now we're going to keep everything close. We've got the beginning stages of our hub. Then we'll have access to various upgrades that will make this structure much more robust and add some different elements to it. For example, we're going to have power sources, power generators that will be located over here, a couple of those in that area. But let's go ahead and get started. Let's see what they want us to do to reach Tier 1. So our first upgrade is going to give us access to a crafting bench, a workshop, smelter, power lines, power cables, wires, and so on. All right, so that's something we definitely want to get to. And what do we need to get there? We need 10 iron rod. Well, that shouldn't be too big of a deal. We're going to first come over to our crafting station and craft up all of these iron ingots. Okay, we'll go ahead and do a few of those and create our first 10. Okay, drop those in there. Ooh, look at that. Almost looks like a firefly. Okay, and we got our first upgrade. And you can see it changes things. It's now going to give us access to a personal storage box, as well as adding in our very first means of some power.
Hub feature, personal storage. Scanner feature.
Okay, upgrade number 2. And you can see here what it's going to add. Power poles. It's going to add a constructor, which will be able to take the smelted resources and actually create something, whether they're bars or plates and so on. Also, we'll get access to concrete, which will be used for foundations as well as power poles, and we'll be using limestone to make that concrete. Okay, also of note is the biomass. We'll be able to take these leaves and wood and so on and create fuel that will be much more efficient to go into our device. All right, let's come back over. Actually, we need to see what is involved in this upgrade. We'll select it. So we're going to need 10 iron plates, 10 rods, and then we're going to need some wire. Okay, let's go ahead and create some more ingots. Again, name of the game long term is to automate all of this, but for right now, they're going to teach us about the game by having us do this manually. Okay, let's craft up 10 of our plates right quick and go ahead and drop those in there. Now we need 10 more rods. Okay, no problem there. All right, but then we need 50 wire. And in order to get wire, we're going to need copper. So we're going to need to use our scanner once again. And wow, that guy is huge. So we're going to hold down C, and I'm going to choose copper ore. And sure enough, there is a location very close nearby. And we'll have to keep our eye out for any of these bad guys that don't necessarily like us being here, because there's going to be one at the top of the hill here waiting for us. You're generally going to find these quite a bit around the resource deposits. Oh, and now this guy's going to run around and make this very difficult on us. There we go. Now you notice in the bottom left-hand corner that has reduced our health. So we've lost actually 4 bars on our health. But if we come into our inventory and pull out these nuts, then you can see that each one replenishes 1/2 of our health bar. Okay, so now we'll put our zapper back in here. As ineffective as it is, we'll put it back to use. Okay, and we're going to mine some copper. All right, there we go. That should be enough to get us started. And again, collecting all of these leaves that I can as we move around. All right, here we go. So we need now to make some ingots. And let's see, did it want wire? I've now forgotten what it wanted. It actually did want wire, so we're in good shape. Let's go ahead and craft the wire. That gives us 51, which is perfect. There we go. We're ready for our second upgrade. Now we're getting somewhere. You can see each upgrade brings us a little bit more functionality. Still have just the one generator, but now we have some living quarters that are coming into shape, taking shape for us.
Seventh objective, hub upgrade, conveyor
All right, so now we're going to be ready to find out what we need for upgrade number 3. Now, upgrade number 3 is going to bring us our conveyor belts. It's also going to bring us foundations, walls, and so on. Okay, we'll go ahead and select that milestone. All right, so if we come into the build menu, now we can build a craft bench, which is what is right over here to our right in the hub. We've got an equipment workshop. We'll need that very soon. Then we'll have smelters and constructors. So the very beginning of our automation. So let's see what we need to build the workshop. In the bottom right-hand corner of this screen, you can see we need some iron plates and the iron rods, 6 of each. Okay, let's go ahead and craft up some more ingots from our raw materials. Okay, we've got 3 plates right now. Let's go ahead and get a few more of those. And then we've got just enough left to get the iron rods that we need. And we're going to place this, again, real close nearby. We can rotate it with the mouse wheel, and that's good enough for right now. For our purposes, that is going to be just fine. Now we can come over and we're going to press E and see what we can make in here right now. We can make another zapper. We can make a portable miner. Now this is really what we're interested in. And so for that, we're going to need iron plates. We're going to need some more wire. And then we're going to need some cable. Okay, once again, craft up some more ingots. We'll go ahead and craft up the remainder of them. All right, so then iron plates, we'll need some more of those. And then let's make some more ingots. Looks like we should have enough copper in that one run that we made to take care of this. And we'll go ahead and take all of the ingots and make them into wire. All right, let's go back over because I need to find out how much do we need. Well, we have it. We have everything we need. So we'll go ahead. There we go. And for now, we'll just use the one, because I want to show you guys what we're going to do with it. Okay, so go into our inventory. We're going to grab this, drag it into our hand slot. And then I'm going to come over here basically in the center of this deposit, drop down the auto miner, and you can see it's basically a mining robot. It's going to look around for a second, then it's going to get busy doing the mining. Now, thankfully, we don't have to add any fuel to this mining robot in order for him to do his work. But you can see he is pretty productive, certainly much better than we are at this process. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get, let's grab 10 to get started. So we'll let him, continue on. Let's go ahead and craft our 10 iron ingots. Okay, we'll take all of this and make iron plates out of it. All right, so what else do we need? We're good on plates. We're good on wire. We need just a little bit more of the cable. There we go. And I believe that's going to be exactly what we need. And yes. Okay, and actually right now what we're going to do is we're going to head back up here to the copper. Now we've got another iron node over here that we're certainly going to want an auto miner working on. But for right now I'm going to let this other auto miner get started on the copper so that as we need some more, it will be available to us. So as we head back up here, these auto miners have the ability to hold a maximum inventory of 100. So once they have mined 100 of their particular ore, they will be full and will be forced to stop until we come and empty these out. But of course, these are just really step one in the process of automation. Coming up next, once we get some electricity going, we'll be stringing power poles around, connecting those together, and then get into some real automation. All right, you can see this guy's already hard at work. We're going to let him get to it, and we're going to run around. Now, this is some pretty large distances that we'll get into, not necessarily in today's video, but later on as we do more gameplay in future videos. You see longer distances in this. This is certainly not the only area that the game contains. There are caves, there are other biomes, lots of different stuff that we're going to get into later on, again, as we get into early access and then as we approach the full release. So what we're seeing right now is just the very, very beginning of the game. Okay, let's go ahead, craft up some more ingots because I want to make another auto miner. All right, that should be enough, but I need to come back over here. And so really all we need is just a little bit more of the cable. All right, and let's go ahead and make a little bit more wire since we used up most of our wire in order to make that happen. There we go. That should be plenty for what we need. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and craft up yet another portable miner. All right, so now we can come back over, place this one down. And there we go. Now we got 2 auto miners up and working. Okay, so once again, this guy's going to drop down and get to it. Let's go ahead and grab the ore that this guy's got. Now we're going to turn our attention to upgrading once again. Now we won't be able to go through all of the upgrades in today's video, but you notice, and this is also in the top right hand corner under current milestone, you can see we've got the iron plates, cables, concrete, as well as reinforced iron plates. All right, so I tell you what, I'm going to pause the video here. We'll come back a little bit later on when we've gotten some upgrades done. All right, so we've gotten another upgrade done. You can see our auto miners are still busy at work, and of course we have our one right over in that direction for copper as well, but we're ready to build a couple of buildings. We're going to start out with a smelter, so let's go ahead and select it. And you can see as I spin it around and look at it from the side, on the left-hand side, that is the output, and then on the right-hand side, that is the input. And I can spin this around any way I want. And for right now, we'll just build one. But we would want to arrange these so that once we get our auto miners installed, we would be able to feed directly into this. There we go. Smelter is now being built. So we come into the smelter and we need to choose which recipes we want to go with. Right now we have two, iron ingot, copper ingot. We're going to choose iron ingot. So that's what it will make as soon as it has power. Okay, next we're going to wire up a constructor. And we have the option here of trying to do this and basically eyeballing this, or we can hold down the control and it will try to line things up for us. Make things a little bit easier. And now you can see that's going to be a little bit easier for us. If we press the 3 key, notice at the bottom of the screen and with our hot bar, we have our conveyor belts. So we're just going to connect that one straight to it. Nothing too complex there. All right, so that's ready to go. Now we need to make some biomass for fuel. Let's go ahead and do that. We've got biomass that we make from wood, biomass that we make from leaves. Right now we have a good bit of wood on us, so we'll go ahead and make that. You notice that we've got now over 2 stacks of this. That is exactly what we need. Also, let's see, we need to put down our very first power pole. And for our purposes in today's video, this will likely be our only power pole. Okay, now we need to connect this up to our power source. Oh, there it is. I couldn't see it there. I couldn't tell that it was already up and going. So we'll drop our biomass in there. And you can see, turns green. And now it is dropping the biomass in there and creating our power. So now we need to take and create power for these two. And again, for today's purposes, this is just an introductory video. So I'm going to go ahead and just use one power pole. But the interesting thing about power poles is you have a maximum of 4 connections. So the way you're going to want to do this is use 3 of those connections to connect to either other power poles in the series or connect to the machines like what we're about to do now. Let's go ahead and connect that wire up. There you go. And you can see at the top it's showing 2 of 4 connections. And now we're going to use our last... Oh, nope, we actually need 1 more. I thought we were going to get by without needing that, but we're going to need it, so we'll just go ahead and craft up a few more. And now we'll press the 2 key again and connect our power. Oops. There we go. Okay, so now we've used 3 of our 4 connections on this particular power pole. So the last connection we would want to be, for sure, to another power pole. So now we need to come down and we need to tell our constructor what we wanted to make. So we've got iron ingots that are going to be fed into the constructor. So we're going to be making either iron plates or rods. We're going to choose plates. All right, and now let's see, do we have any? We do not have any iron. Let's go grab some iron. So our maximum of 100 in that portable miner. Same thing over here. Maximum of 100. And there you go. Now we can only put a maximum of 100 in here at a time. You can see we can try to put more in there, but 100 is all it will allow. That is why your conveyor system from your miners straight into your smelter and then finally into the constructor is a great idea. As we move forward, there are going to be other tools we'll have at our disposal, such as storage devices. We'll be able to put those out there, which we can hook up to the conveyor belts. There'll be all sorts of stuff going forward, but that's going to do it for now. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a different playthrough that I did a little bit earlier and show you the status and some of the machines we're using there. Now we'll spend our final few minutes together in this video just taking a look at a playthrough that I did just a little bit earlier today. It certainly doesn't look the prettiest, but I sort of laid it out in a way that I could use on the video. Once again, you're going to see the hub is in the same location that we put ours. Back here behind, we have our construction area for our workshop. Here on the left-hand side here, we have a couple of more generators with biomass in there. Here are our auto miners hooked up to the electricity, and you're going to see several power poles. Again, a maximum of 4 connections on each of these. You can adjust the height of your conveyor belt so that you could walk or drive a vehicle underneath them. So you're going to need to leave room for that in the future. But here you can see that we've got iron ore coming out of the miners, of each of the miners, and going into the smelters. Now both of these smelters are of course smelting these into iron ingots. But then when we come down to the constructors, I've got one of these constructors that is making, there we go, iron plates. And then the other is making the iron rods. So that's the setup we've got over here. And of course, at the very end of the channel right now are a couple of storage boxes which have a great deal of storage available. You can see all of the slots that we can use for this process. And then of course, we can bring conveyor belts off of this. You can split conveyor belts. You can combine them. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that I haven't had a chance to get into during this test weekend. But if we come over on this side, and you can see I have connected the power poles in this direction. I actually don't know exactly how far you can reach in between power poles. I just put them a good distance apart, but you might entirely be able to go much further than that. Now we're up to our copper location. And here you can see the auto miner that is putting out the copper ore. We can pick this up off the conveyor belt if we need a little bit on our own before it gets to the smelter. And here you can see the copper ingots that are coming out, leaving no question as to what's happening. Okay, and then coming out the other side, we've got our ingots to our constructor. All right, so in between here, I put a storage container in the middle just in case we got backed up on our production. We would have somewhere for all of these to go. And you can see we've got a little bit of a backup in there. Okay, so our ingots are coming into the constructor where we are converting these into wire. So all of these things we were doing by hand at the very beginning, we are able to now automate, although very inefficiently at this point. But you see there is a large area here where we can bring all of this together in the future and expand our factory. But now we've got some of the basic materials that we're going to need going forward. Now we're just ready for early access. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more Satisfactory here at Knee Pit Gaming.